Hey students, good morning. This is your English class and I'm your English teacher Miss Gunjan Bagga. And today's lecture we have picked from your literature reader book. It's poem number 5, The Legend of Northland. Okay, let's see. Before we carry on with the poem, I would just like to tell you about the deleted topics, from your books. That is for session 2020-21. We have some cut in the syllabus. You can please check out here the chapters from your book number 1, Literature Reader Book Beehive, chapter number 5 and chapter number 10, The Snake and the Mirror and Kathmandu. These two chapters are cut. And also 3 more poems are cut. Poem number 4. 1, 2, 3 already we have covered, but poem number 4, The Lake Isle of Annis Free's Cat, poem number 7, The Duck and the Kangaroo, and poem number 10, A Slumber Did My Spirit Seal. So in all from your Literature Reader Beehive book, total 5 of the chapters, 2 chapters and 3 poems are cut. Okay. Book number 2, that is your supplementary reader book Moments. We have in all 10 chapters in your Moments book. Out of those 10 chapters, 8 are in syllabus and 2 chapters are cut. Okay, this I'm talking about final examination syllabus. Okay, chapter number 3, Ishwaran the Storyteller, and chapter number 9, The Accidental Tourist, are not going to be the part of this session. Okay, syllabus of this for this session. Check out in grammar, passive voices and prepositions. We are not going to cover passive voices and prepositions for this session. Also in writing skills, till last year we had letter on given situations and descriptive paragraphs also, along with some other writing skill topics. So all those topics are there. Syllabus you already have. All those topics are there, but these 2 topics in writing skills, that is letter on a given situation and descriptive paragraphs, are cut. Okay, so this has come from board. Children, kindly note it down in your copies or diaries, or also please put tick on the chapters or cut the chapters from your book content page also. Okay, so we'll continue with today's lecture. We will skip this poem number 4 because that's not the part of the syllabus for this session. We'll directly switch to poem number 5, The Legend of Northland by Phoebe Cary. Okay. Let's know a little about Phoebe Cary before we commence with the poem. Phoebe Cary was an American poetess. She was very much into women's rights, and for a short time she edited a newspaper also named Revolution. Okay, so she was not only a poetess but also a women's right activist. Phoebe Cary, along with her sister, published many poems together till 1849, and then each of the sisters went to publish the volumes of their own. The poem what we have today here, that is The Legend of Northland, is one of the prominent work of Phoebe Cary. Okay, let's know little about the poem. The Legend of Northland. Actually, this poem is a ballad. We have different kind of poem, different kinds of poetry, right? Different kinds of poem. One of those kind is ballad. Ballad, ballad. Okay, so what exactly is ballad? This particular poem, The Legend of Northland, is written in a form of a ballad. What is a ballad? Ballad is actually a poem that narrates a story in short stanzas. Okay, ballad is nothing but a short poem, but a poem which is written in a song way, it is narrating a story. Ballads are a part of folk culture and are passed on from one generation to the next. This story also is what? A legend. This story is written in a ballad form, which is narrating a story. When we'll read this, you'll come to know. This particular story is of northern area, the area which is near the North Pole. Legend. This poem is a legend that is passed from one generation to next. Now, what is a legend? Legend means a historical story, one which is very old and has been passed on from one generation to another. This poem narrates the legend of an old lady who angered Saint Peter because of her greed. Okay, so in this poem we'll read about what? An old lady who angered Saint Peter because of her greed, and what exactly he suffered out of her greed, that we'll read in this poem. Okay, before we take the poem, I'll just read here some summary points for you so that you know what is there in the poem. See, this poem is a legend about an old lady who angered Saint Peter because of her greed and selfishness. One day, when preaching around the world, when Saint Peter reached Northland at old lady's door, she was doing what? She was baking cakes. Saint Peter was very hungry. He was fainting with hunger, so he asked the lady to give him a piece of cake. 2 times. The lady baked the cake 2 times but did not give it away to Saint Peter as she thought the cakes were too big. The cake appeared to be very big. Third time, when she baked a cake, this time what did she do? This time she baked even a thinner cake, as thin as a wafer. But this time also she was not able to part with that cake. She was so greedy, she was too greedy to give even that thin cake also. And this thing angered Saint Peter very much, and he cursed the lady to transform into a woodpecker. A woodpecker what? A woodpecker is a kind of a bird who bores hard, into woods. See here, he curses her to transform into a woodpecker who had to bore in hard, dry woods to get its scanty food. Why did Saint Peter punish the lady? Because she was not fit. According to Saint Peter, she was not fit to live in human form and enjoy food and warmth. As humans, we ought to do what? We ought to show concern towards fellow human beings, and this lady had no generosity of heart, and her greediness, her selfishness got her into trouble. Okay, let's see what is the central idea of the poem. Check this central idea of the poem, then we will read the poem. The central idea of the poem, The Legend of the Northland, is that greed and selfishness result in downfall. Please make a note of this, that greed and selfishness always results in downfall of a person. This poem highlights the fact that greed is a cardinal sin. Greed is a sin. People who are greedy not only worsen others' problems and sufferings, but they also attract untold misery to themselves. So one shouldn't be greedy or selfish. See, in the poem, had the old lady in the poem been generous and kind, the saint would have blessed her. The saint would not have cursed her. In fact, he would have blessed her, which would have multiplied her joys. But her greed got her what? The irreversible curse. So one shouldn't be greedy or selfish. Okay, so this is what is the central idea of the poem. Now I would like to just highlight the page that has a poem. See, this poem is written, children, in 16 stanzas. Okay, this poem is written in 16 stanza. I'll just explain each stanza to you, but in this particular part of the video I would not be able to cover the full poem, right? So first I'll read the full poem, then we'll start with the paraphrasing. Please check. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. Okay, before we read, just check on this. Northland, few, winter, through. Few and through appears to be rhyming, but Northland and winter not. So the rhyming scheme is A, B, C, B. Few and through. Okay. Where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bears' cubs in their funny furry clothes. Snows, clothes. Reindeer and cubs doesn't, like, these two do not rhyme. So again, A, B, C and D. They tell them a curious story. I don't believe 'tis true, and yet you may learn a lesson if I tell the tale to you. True, you. So again, A, B, C, B. Once, when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below and walked about it preaching, just as he did, he came to the door of a cottage in traveling round the earth where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on the hearth. And being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done, he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. So she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it and thought it seemed too large to give away. Therefore, she needed another and still a smaller one, but it looked, when she turned it over, as large as the first had done. Then she took a tiny scrap of dough and rolled it flat and baked it thin as a wafer, but she couldn't part with that. For she said, my cakes that seem too small when I eat of them myself are yet too large to give away, so she put them on the shelf. Then good Saint Peter grew angry, for he was hungry and faint, and surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. And he said, you're far too selfish to dwell in a human form, to have both food and shelter, and fire to keep you warm. Now you shall build as the birds do, and shall get your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all day in the hard dry wood. Then she went through the chimney, never speaking a word, and out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed to a bird. She had a scarlet cap on her head, and that was left the same, but all the rest of her clothes were burned black as a coal in the flame. And every country schoolboy has seen her in the wood, where she lives in the trees till this very day, boring and boring for food. So children, this is what is the poem. I've just read it once. You can check here in the last two stanzas also. Head, same, boned and flame. Same and flame rhyme. So again, A, B, C, B, schoolboy, wood, day and food. Wood and food rhyming. So when you'll check all the stanzas, you'll find that the rhyming scheme throughout the poem is A, B, C and B. Line number 2 and 4 rhyming, and line only 2 and 4 are rhyming, right? Now children, let's see. I'll just start with the paraphrasing. You can check here. Stanza number 1. See, away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few, and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. Okay? See here children. Away, away. See, the two words are repeated. So the poetic device used here is repetition. Okay? When the words are repeated randomly anywhere in the poem or in the lines of the poem, the poetic device we use is repetition. See here, the Northland, the hours, the day, the nights, that, they, them, through. When you will read all these words, you'll find that th, the sound is repeated. And wherever the sounds are repeated, the figure of the poetic device that is used is alliteration. Okay, check here alliteration. I've not written the complete definition of all this because in other poems we already have covered this poetic devices. So I'm directly going with it, that wherever you'll find the first sound of the word repeating, the figure of speech, the poetic device used is alliteration. See here, another poetic device is there. This is the new one. Enjambment. Now what is enjambment? You'll see here in line number 3 and 4. And the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. See here, in the transition between line number 3 and 4, there is no punctuation used. Directly after line number 3, 4 is used. It is in continuation. No punctuation is used. It is in continuation, still used as a new line, right? So whenever the lines of poem, lines of poems are in continuation, different lines of the poem appears to be in continuation, or are separated without any, what we say, punctuation, then the poetic device used is what? Enjambment. Okay, see, I'll just explain. Away in the northland, when the hours of the day are few. Away in the northland. The poem is set where? In the northland. Northland means the region around the North Pole, where the hours of the day are few. Hours of the day are few means the duration of the day is very less there in the northland, in the region around the North Pole, because its position is like that the sun rays reach there for a very less time. So when the sun rays reach there for a less time, obviously the day hours are less, and when the day hours are less, what is more? Obviously the nights are longer, and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. Obviously when the days are shorter, the nights are longer, and when the nights are longer, what do? They here are people. The people who live there. People wake up only after a few hours of sleep. When the nights are longer, people cannot sleep the whole night, and when they wake up in the morning, it is already dark. It is still the night time. So writer is actually taking us to the place where the story is set. Story is set where? In the northland. See here, where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows, and the children look like bear scabs in their funny furry clothes. Okay, check here. Where they harness the swift, the sledges, the children, the funny, there. All th sound is it appears to be repeating. So figure of speech poetic device used is alliteration. Another one is, see here, and the children look like bear scabs in the funny furry clothes, where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges. Transition from line 1 to 2 without any punctuation, without any comma, any other punctuation also. Line number 3 to 4 appears to be in continuation. So the poetic device is enjambment. Also, one more poetic device is used, that is simile, that I will explain after completing this. Where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows. First of all, what do you mean by swift? Swift is something that runs very fast, and reindeer is what? An animal, snow animal, kind of a deer. Reindeer. Okay. Sledges. What is sledge? Sledge is a vehicle on runners for conveying the loads, or conveying what? People over snow or ice, little vehicle. Harness is what? To harness means, what do people do there? They harness means they tie the reindeer with a rope to a sledge and use it for transportation. So let's see, he is talking about the northland, where they means the people. What do people do? What occupation they are into? What do? They actually what? Tie the swift reindeer. They harness, they make the swift reindeer to pull the sledges. When it snows there, when it is all icy around, snowy around there, what do? They make this reindeer pull the sledges. And who sits on those sledges? Either they convey the loads, they transport the material, or they transport people there, by making them sit on these sledges, because they cannot walk in such snowy area, right? And the children look like bear scabs. See here, the children, little children are compared to what? The way the little children look, they are compared to, as if they are looking like what? The bear's cubs. Bear's cubs means the baby bear, because they are wearing what? In it's quite a cold place, so children wear what? Furry clothes, and they look really funny in those furry clothes. Funny means here they look like what? As if little bear are walking around, right? So poet here compares what? Little children who are wearing furry clothes to what? That as if they are like little bear cub. They are like bear cubs, little baby bear. So here is comparison, look like bear's cub. So whenever there is a comparison using a word as or like, what poetic device is used? Obviously, you people are smart. You already know the poetic device used is what? Simile. So this particular line is an example of simile. Okay, instance of simile is here. So children, these are the explanation of paraphrasing of 2 of the stanzas. We have around 16 stanza. Some more stanzas are there, and those stanzas I'll be covering in my next video, right? Which I'll post after 2 days. So what do? You just have to read again the poem, full poem. In the next stanzas also try to find out the poetic devices on your own, right? And till then you can work on the central idea and the summary points what I have given, and please be ready with the poem with you after 2 days when I post another video. Okay, thank you so much. This is it for today, and I'll post another video after 2 days. Okay, thank you. Bye bye, take care.